The government is to ban with immediate effect any gagging clauses in severance agreements with NHS staff. They've been blamed for stopping potential whistleblowers from speaking out about poor care. A month ago, we spoke to Gary Walker, who defied a gagging order after he was sacked as Chief Executive of United Lincolnshire Hospitals. He talked of a culture of fear in the NHS. We asked him what advice he would give to people who, like him, had been gagged but wanted to speak out.
My advice to them is that they're unlikely to get the kind of publicity that I'm getting, and therefore may well be prosecuted, and nobody will know about it, really. So I would love people to stand up and be counted, but I fully understand, the personal position they're in, and because I was there, a year ago, where you stand to lose everything if you speak out.
Well, the Conservative MP Stephen Barclay has been campaigning to protect whistleblowers. He's a member of the Public Accounts Select Committee, and he's here in the studio now. Good morning.
Good morning.
You must welcome this change.
It's a very welcome announcement. It shows that the Secretary of State is gripping this issue, and that the £50 million spent over 3 years silencing people doing what we want them to do, speaking out about patient safety concerns, will now be stopped.
Well, sorry, hold on one second. It's not going to stop the severance agreements or the compromise agreements. It's just going to stop having gagging orders within them, so presumably the payments carry on.
Well, the gagging clauses had a chilling effect because, in essence, it put the legal risk on the whistleblower to prove that they were complying with the Public Interest Disclosure Act, and that's really what led a lot of people to keep quiet. So this announcement's welcome in that regard, but what it doesn't do is necessarily address the Gary Walker case. It's unclear whether payments made through judicial mediation will be included in the announcement today.
OK, now you'll need to explain what that means, because in his case it wasn't appointed as I thought it was actually part of a compromise agreement that...
Well, many of us had thought that the figures given by the Department of Health so far included payments like Mr Walker's. What I've discovered in the last couple of days is that there are potentially a series of other payments made to whistleblowers, such as Gary Walker, which were made through judicial mediation, which is a different process which doesn't go to the Treasury and doesn't go to the Department of Health. And Parliament still doesn't know how much has been paid through judicial mediation, and whether any changes will be made in terms of gagging clauses in those agreements.
Because what we do know is over 3 years there were almost 600 compromise agreements. We don't know whether of those 600 how many had gagging clauses, but you're saying there's a whole other layer of agreements that may have had gagging things that may not be affected by this.
Yes, well, the Gary Walker case suggests there are, because Sir David Nicholson himself, who incidentally for the last 2 years has been telling me on the Public Accounts Committee that there was no problem and no need for change, and clearly today's announcement raises questions over that judgment. But the payment to Gary Walker was done through judicial mediation. That's a different process to special severance payments.
So David Nicholson, the Prime Minister's made it clear that he supports him continuing as boss of the NHS. You don't?
No, I don't. I think his position is untenable. But it goes beyond one individual. I think the appointment of Barbara Hakin at this time, when she is under, as I understand it, investigation by the GMC, and obviously someone's innocent until proven guilty, and we need to await the outcome of that. But the timing of that appointment seems extremely strange, and it's also unclear to me what involvement the Secretary of State for Health had in that decision prior to it being announced.
What do you mean?
Well, I don't know whether the Secretary of State was told before her appointment was announced, and I'll be asking about that in Parliament today.
Because you think if he knew...
Well, if he knew, then I would have thought he would have found the timing of it strange, which suggests that perhaps he didn't know.
The whole idea of changes like this, and the Francis report after Miss Staffordshire, is to change the culture within the NHS, right, so people feel that they can talk out. Now, you will know, just as a journalist one knows, that you speak to very senior people in the NHS and they don't want to speak out, because they say the purely practical reason that if they are seen to be difficult, there is no other employer. Do you think that's going to address that concern? Well,
it's a start. I think it's a very welcome start, and I think Jeremy Hunt really gets this, and today's announcement shows him starting to get a grip of it. But it's not a new issue. If you look back to Bristol and the Bristol inquiry, the one person who lost his job and never worked in the NHS again was the whistleblower, which is slightly ironic. The very people we want to speak out so that we can learn from the lessons of what's gone wrong, they're the people that are afraid and in essence are told that they won't work in the NHS again if if they do. So today's announcement is good, but will it apply retrospectively to those who have already signed gagging clauses, and will it cover things such as judicial mediation?
Stephen Barclay, thank you very much.